Hey, it's me, your good buddy Matt D, once again here in the game garage. Yes, once again here, the old game garage. No temperature is too chilly, though we kind of in a heat wave, though kind of a cold snap at the same time, because it is pure Michigan. I know, last week we kind of ambled, I kind of ambled, we all kind of ambled together through Astro, oh boy, this was not great. Look, dude, but a dude like that has a serial killer, dude, it's got Norman Bates, punk rock Norman Bates on the cover. Dude, he's gonna kill all of your fun. This week, though, it's Atari's greatest hits. Dude, all their greatest hits. Dude, look at all these greatest hits on there. We'll talk about that next time. Volume 1. Do all your greatest hits. What are you thinking about when you think of all your greatest hits? Are you thinking maybe like Adventure, Asteroids, a Centipede, Haunted House, Missile Command? You thinking Mega Mania, Indiana Jones, E.T.? You thinking Pac-Man? All of those games are not on there. Some of them are. Some of them are. Some of them aren't. Because, dude, this is just Volume 1. Some of them aren't for obvious reasons. Like, they don't have any of those kind of like licensed games. I don't think of Indiana Jones as like a classic game, but a lot of people apparently do, which is weird. And when you think of that, like that game and like, let's say also like Haunted House, and then people goof on like E.T., it's crazy. Anyway, but yeah, like let's get all the awesome stuff right up front here. But let's read the back as we do. The most popular casual games of all time! Exclamation point. I guess that's true. Rediscover 50 iconic Atari arcade and Atari 2600 games, each updated to take full advantage of the Nintendo DS. And also sort of true. All new multiplayer. Oh, actually, this is true and very cool. Challenge your friends with both single and multi-card 2-player mode for head-to-head titles. So yeah, you can play your friends wirelessly with your DS and interconnect. It's pretty cool. For the fanboy and everybody, test your video game knowledge with Atari trivia test. Also check out original arcade cabinets, game manuals, advertisements. They've got like an art section where you can see like promotional pieces to like their arcade cabinets. That's actually pretty cool. That's a thing in general is that, yeah, this is just kind of like a museum piece. I'll get all this. And top secret, play the casual military prototype commissioned by the. Also, basically, they have Battlezone. They have military grade Battlezone. At some point, Atari made Battlezone, but for the Abrams tank. But it's basically Battlezone. It's not a lot different, but that's also on here. Never before played. But you have 3D Tic-Tac-Toe Adventure, Air Sea Battle, Asteroids, Atari Video Cube, Basketball, Battlezone, Bowling, Centipede, Championship Soccer, Dodge Jump, Flag Capture, Football, Fun with Numbers, Gravatar, Hangman, Haunted House, Home Run, Human Cannonball, Math Grand Prix, Miniature Golf, Missile Command, Outlaw, Real Sports Baseball, Real Sports Boxing, Real Sports Football, Real Sports Tennis, Real Sports Volleyball. That's not all the real sports. See the rest on Volume 2, next episode. Skydiver, Slot Machine, Slot Racer, Sprint Master, Starship, Stellar Track, Submarine Commander Surround, Sword Quest Earth World, Sword Quest Fire World, Sword Quest Water World, Tempest, the Prototype, and Video Checkers. And as far as arcade games concerned, are Asteroids, Battlezones, Pong, Centipede, Lunar Landar, Missile Command, Gravatar, Tempest, and Space Duel. I'm glad I started pairing these games because they kind of pair nicely. This really isn't a game, and this really isn't a game. They're both kind of cash grabs, but for different reasons. This isn't a game because it's just so bad. This isn't a game because it really is just a history piece. And in it is a little bits of arcade history, and that's probably the coolest, funnest thing about it. Because, okay, so here, as an example, for a while I used to work at a pawn shop, and at one point these two young lads bring in like one of those all-in-one Ataris, like Atari Classic all-in-ones, but like it was like number 14. And I looked it up and they're worth nothing. Like literally couldn't give these guys anything. And they were like, well, here you go. They just gave it to us. And their statement was, we bought it thinking it would be like fun for a night, maybe two, like figuring fuck it, right? But we played it for 5 minutes and we didn't realize how basic the games would look. And that's the truth. The games look incredibly basic. Now, what's cool is because it's kind of historical, they got the manuals in there, so you can read them. So, like, dude, you can read the manual on the game Haunted House, and you can play Haunted House. Dude, I played Haunted House. And one, I got the goblet out of the house, but I never could play the game before because I never had any idea what I was doing because I could read the manual. Now, the problem I have with it is the manuals are off in their own extra section and not like on the games themselves. Like when you're playing the game, you can't just like go click on the manual and go play that manual, or you know, go play the manual. That's what happens when you're also dealing with a dog. You can't go read the manual and kind of like learn. So you got to read and then go back and blah, 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 blah. Like the Sword Quest games, which I hadn't played before, and the Sword Quest games, which they have on here. It's supposed to be a series of 4 games, but they only made 3 of them. Supposed to win treasure. At some point, you win a clue. But I'm not doing a very good job describing Sword Quest. Apparently, they all came with comic books. And the clues would correspond with the comics and page numbers and all this other kind of stuff. And you really need both of them to really fully beat the game. But all of that would be impenetrable if I didn't even have a little bit of the manual. And all this is to say is those games are really great. The Sword Quest games are like pre-Wario parties. Like they just dump a mini game on you and just like, dude, have at it. Figure this out. My complaints are, I wish you could view the manuals on the games while you're at the games. I wish it wasn't its own thing. And I wish you could just like view the art for the manuals in its own section. Like they have a section, like a gallery section, just for like promo art for like the art cabinet stuff. But like all the art, like this, like these painting, like a painting like this, which wasn't on the cabinet, you know, but was on like the home version. Like the art on the home version stuff is crazy. It's all like that 70s kind of Bill Sienkiewicz-esque, kind of like that poster right there, kind of like that-esque, where it just looks awesome. The bowling poster looks dope. I honestly spent most of my time playing the manuals, honestly. Yeah, I was right, I guess the first time. I really spent most of the time playing the manuals because the manuals are the best part. Because here's where it suffers. So you have arcade ports and then Atari 2600 ports. The problem with the arcade ports is that it suffers from the controls because they just kind of cram them into the DS. Like, for example, at one point you're playing Tempest, and you can use the controls or you can use this fake ball that they have set up, but both of them are not this unique track thing which they had for Tempest, right? Like those controls become clutch, and you start realizing that all the buttons, even though they've replicated them, again, if you're an old head like me and you remember actually playing them on the machines, you're like, oh, this actually felt better playing it on a machine. Like, oh, Missile Command actually feels better when you can play them on the buttons. So because of that reason, the Atari 2600 versions of the games end up being the funner, more playable versions of the games than, like, let's say, the arcade versions of the games, which might look a little better. Did that make sense? I don't know. Maybe. Probably not. But hey, do you like Atari games and playing Atari games? And did you play Atari Classic Greatest Hits? Because I remember playing Atari with my buddy Jason. Yeah, he first had Adventure. And oh snap, dude, it was the first RPG. He was telling me, it's like, oh yeah, you gotta get this key and we gotta get this goblet back into our castle. And dude, it just blew my mind how rich and dense that game was. Dude, we played that all afternoon, beating the castle, like winning the game multiple times, but also losing multiple times, because just playing it over and over again, because that's what you did with an Atari game, is that you could, but it just kind of blew my mind that you could win. Like, it wasn't like, couldn't just go on forever like a Frogger. Anyway, tell me what you're playing. Like, Shibe, Square, all the stuff. Really feels good. You know, the channel blows up. And then whatever this is, thank you for supporting whatever this is. This in a garage and my dog sometimes. Who knows? Why not? Like, Shibe, Square, the thing, the place, you know. Woo! Out. Met out.
A little late to do jeweled mace.
You think so? 74? You think that's late for a jeweled mace?
Yeah, 1974. Like if my dad was alive.
Hey gang, me, Matt D, After Hours. So, last time, when we were talking about Astro Boy, After Hours, I kind of went into a whole thing. Need to work on myself on Johnny Dangerously. Very end, the tail end, right at the end, I had a shot from Astro Boy. See last time. To me, it was a joke of one of my ex-girlfriends, and it's a thing that I like to do, is put ex-girlfriends in my work because I think it's kind of funny. But then I started thinking later, is it funny? Right? I mean, because I do it as kind of maybe like a goof on myself, as if like the trauma of a thing could. I don't know. I think that's funny that. And to me, it's funny because it's a goof on myself. It's like a trauma on me, and I think that's funny. But I then started considering that because I am the narrator, right? Because I am telling story or presenting art as thing to you, consumer, that gives like an unfair advantage for me, an impression, and that like perhaps like that's maybe a thing that I shouldn't do or should. Still, I don't know. Yeah, man, art. What do you do? Anyway, let me know. What do you think? Oh.